Hello, crafters, and welcome to this week's From Picture to Page and Beyond Papercraft Show update. Now, I'm Michelle Brown, the creative director from Picture to Page, and we're nurturing your creativity with in-person and online events. And I'm so excited that you can join me here for this week's update. Now, whether you're watching us here live on Facebook or YouTube or watching a replay, I would love to know that you're out there. Say hello in the comments, pop all your questions there as well, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. So this week we've got a dash of inspiration. We've got all of the From Picture to Page and Beyond Papercraft Show news and all the updates from the Papercraft Posse. Now, this week's dash of inspiration, I would like to encourage you to revisit some of your old artwork. I think when you've got a bit of time at this time of year, it's nice to reflect on what you've done in the year, but also even look back a bit further. Now, over the last 2 weeks, I've been having my mixed media art hat on and creating a series over on YouTube about mixed media art fundamentals. And that really has encouraged me to go back through a lot of my work, pull out some examples. We've been talking about stamping, and I've got a few stamps in my collection. I've been talking about stencils, and I've got a few stencils in my collection as well. And it's just been really nice to go back and look through these things and reflect and use them as inspiration. So I've pulled out a few of my older pieces of work, and I would love to share them with you. So let's jump in. So here's a whole heap of things that I've pulled out that I thought I would share with you. I have found, if you can believe, one of my very first Christmas cards, which you will note is not stamped, is not mixed media. Well, it sort of is mixed media. It's got some collage. It was a piece of wrapping paper that I cut up. I've got my handwriting in the bottom. Now, this has got 1992 on it, so it was even last century. So it's an example of, how simple the cards were made. And I do remember how excited I was when I found out you could get stamps that said Merry Christmas, because I really didn't like my own handwriting. So from there, I found one of these, which again would be one of my very first stamped cards. And this was in 1996. I've done a little hand border and done some stamping, and we can see it wasn't necessarily the best stamping. And then some of the other things I did was create some 3D things. So this was a decorated CD cover or something. Remember when we were doing slide covers and CD covers and things? And I've certainly got some stamping there, a little bit of collage, but I can tell it really just lacks the depth of how my work has developed. Someone else that was very influential in the things I did was Michelle Ward with Green Pepper Press, and this was one of her projects. So this is in March 2011, and it was putting together evidence of my life, and I thought that was such a really good thing to reflect on. And it might be an idea for you to do something too. So it had little prompts like details about yourself, wish lists, more time for crafting, some things haven't changed, current interests, the Wheel of Time books. I did eventually get through all 13 of those. Playlists, and just little bits and pieces, favourite things. So it really is a way of capturing a moment in time of things that you liked in a fun little project as well. I also found this was a very early mixed media collage, and when I look at it, I, kind of rather fond of young Michelle putting something like this together. It's very plain. It would have been colours that were well and truly outside my area of comfort. I can see there's some stamping, a bit of collage. This was done in 2008, so we've got into this century, but certainly not the layers and depth that I do currently. Now moving on to this one was done in 2016, so I'd already started gel plating at this point, but I can see there's not a lot of depth in the background, even though there's some paint and a little bit of stamping. It doesn't have those layers of ephemera and stencils that I use in my more recent pieces. And then here's some things I've created more recently. I did a little book, which was with the Elaine Hull Passport Journal. And this was just a fun way of using up gel prints, using up stickers, using up rub-ons, all those things that you collect. And that's one of the things I love about art journaling and bookmaking, is that I can use the things and keep them for myself. I don't need to share them with anyone. I don't need to feel sad that I'm giving them away. Little bits and pieces that we might have collected, create pockets. I will sweep the garage. That was probably one of the kids' Father's Day presents. I've got quotes, I've got fold-outs. So books can just be fun little things for storing, simple things like stickers, rub-ons. So I do love making book projects. More recently, I did an online class, and this was one of the ones I did with that. So we did a really fun background in not a lot of colours. We created some watercolour circles. Can you see that sparkling? Because that was my old H2Os that I pulled out. A little bit of sari silk. And again, just creating really fun pages, different shapes, creating washes, painting on transparencies. There's just so many fun things you can put into a book, and it's really tactile. Now, this is nowhere near finished, but certainly is a fun project as we put it together. We've also had to play with junk journaling, so using all sorts of old pieces from book pages and maps and putting things together. And again, some of this is quite simple journaling, but again, quite fun, using stamping, using collage, using crazy bits and pieces, really odd colour palettes. Again, just using different things, and I can start to see the layers here. It's getting closer to how I do things today. And I'm not sure if any of these have got dates on them. I usually do try and make sure I sign things and pop dates on to help give me a bit of a point of reference. So I'm sure one of these had a date on it somewhere. Oh, there we go, 2021, so much more recent. And then even more recently, this is much more of the mixed media that I create now. So this is a piece that I created while I was up in Sydney at the Papercraft show, and we've got some paint in the background, we've got some stencil butter, some collage elements, and starting to pull that all together, and I can see a lot more of the way I currently work in that. And then here, just a last example is another one in Art by Marlene art journal. I can see I've got some collaged ephemera in the background. I've got some stencils, I've got some stamping, I've got focal points, I've got a quote, I've got some finishing off. So when I sort of go from, something as simple as creating a simple collage Christmas card right through to a complex mixed media piece. Again, I really do enjoy looking at how that work's progressed as my collections have progressed, and I find inspiration in that. There's things that we can pull from our past work and move it into our current work. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of a dash of inspiration this week. Look back over some of your old artwork, see how far you've come. I know sometimes it can feel a bit like, looking at yourself with photos in the 80s and 90s. It's like, oh my goodness, what were we thinking? But anyway, I think we do have to be very gentle with our younger selves. We were doing the best we could at that time when we were creating those things, but it is really nice to see your progress. And I know how I've gone from card making to stamping to altered books to mixed media into bookmaking. It all builds on each other and it uses all those skills, and it is a really fun way to realize how far you've come, and then also perhaps give you some encouragement that there is still always more to learn. Now, of course, the news for the From Picture to Page Papercraft show, we've got the Makers Arts and Crafts coming up at the Train and Hobby Show on the 16th and 17th of March. Again, there's so many hobbies that are going to be included. Tickets are on sale. I think we've mentioned there's going to be a flying demonstration, there's going to be drones, there's going to be trains of all gauges, remote controls, home automation, and even tabletop card games, so Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering, and even there's whispers of some tournaments, and I'm not sure what's been confirmed there. Our next Peter P. Crafts D-Stash will be on Saturday the 2nd of March in Melbourne. And then we're heading out to Pakenham at the Cardinia Cultural Centre on Saturday the 18th and Sunday the 19th of May for a fantastic lineup of retailers. Our next D-Stash will be on Saturday the 1st of June. And then we'll be heading back to Sandown on Friday the 11th and Saturday the 12th of October. And that, of course, is the big show of the year. So if you're not in Melbourne, I want you to plan a road trip. There's plenty of places to stay nearby. You really can come and spend the whole 2 days there. There's always lots of classes, make and takes, and things to do. And you've got like 11 months to plan it. So I would love to see many of you there. Now, our Papercraft Posse, again, is the place where we meet between shows and events. It's our Facebook group. We've got over 1,000 crafters and retailers in there, and it really is the best place to come along and share what you're working on, ask questions, and reach out to our retailers. Now, this week shares, again, just some stunning work. Tracy has created a 3D reindeer that also has lights in it. Again, Tracy's work just blows my mind. Heidi shared one of her lovely Christmas cards. I've been sharing some of the colour swatching I've done. Julie has shared her craft and crop weekend down in Morwell. For those of you that are out that part of the state, check that out. And also Mixed Media Art is having an open studio in Mount Waverley on Friday and Saturday. So all of those details can be found in the Posse and of course with Mixed Media Art and with Julie and Handmade Haven. So I hope you have a chance to pop into the Posse, share what you're working on, ask any questions, and like I said, even if it's something simple that you're working on, it might be enough to inspire someone else to get those paints and stamps and cards out and do something for the holidays. So that's it for this week's update. Dash of inspiration. Look back through some of your old artwork, appreciate how far you've come in your crafting, and of course, celebrate and incorporate some of that in your current work. We look forward to seeing you at so many of our events in 2024. Makers Arts and Crafts at the Train and Hobby Show in March, Pakenham Papercraft Show at the Gidini Cultural Centre in May, and of course back to Sandown on Friday the 11th and Saturday the 12th of October. And I do look forward to catching up with you in the Papercraft Posse in the meantime. So this is Michelle signing off. I hope you have a crafty day.